Hey, what's up guys, me Parksy here and welcome to the, as you can see in the title, the ultimate tier list. Today we're going to be going through all these mega Pokemon that exist in Pokemon, and we are going to be basically tiering them. So the top tier is going to be the S tier, the absolutely incredible tier. Then you've got the A tier, which is still pretty darn amazing, just one or two small flaws that I do have to pick out. Then we've got the C tier, which is pretty standard, nothing too bad, nothing too good about it, I'm just kind of neutral about it. Then, well, I guess I could say that I like it for it to be a C tier. The D tier is more kind of the mediocre tier, I just don't really care about it. And then finally we've got the F tier, but of course we're on the Parksy channel, so we've got a little bit of customization going on. So our S tier is would make Mogwai return. You know, he's going to set down the Shadowverse, all those kind of card games. He's going to come back to Pokemon just when he remembers how amazing this Mega Pokemon, or these Mega Pokemon that end up in this tier will be. Then we've got probably an Age Drive's top 10. To be fair, if a little Vulpix, or Ninetales, excuse me, if a little Ninetales can make it, then pretty much anything can. So that'll be interesting to see what ends up here. Then we've got would make Jolt cry. Unfortunately, and well, fortunately I guess for Jolt, Mega Kingdra does not exist, otherwise this thing would be instantly whacked into this tier. So it's still pretty good. You know, you don't want to get too many emotions from Jolt, however, because you do after a while start to feel bad if he's crying too much. But if it's one of the situations like where if he fears Specs, Focus Energy Kingdra, then it's alright. As long as it's an anomaly that happens, as long as he doesn't cry all the time, then we can actually laugh at it. So the next one is it would have been a Fakemon. So pretty much it's kind of like The Last of Us 2, where, you know, it probably would have been best as like some sort of fanfic or just some sort of fan drawing instead of actually a real life actual created Pokemon for the Pokemon franchise. And then the final one is Masudo, what have you done? You've done that. So we're going to be moving on to pretty much 30 megas, and these are going to be exclusive to the ORAS and the X and Y region, the two regions you can actually get mega Pokemon, since Sun and Moon haven't created any Gen 8 have stupidly decided to not allow megas. So we're going to be going into this tier list. I believe it's actually alphabetically ordered, so that's going to be interesting. So the first Pokemon, and we're going to start off as Stinker, is Mega Abomasnow. Like, no one wants a Mega Abomasnow. Let's be fair, like, Abomasnow by itself, it's a cool concept. It's kind of like you've got a Christmas tree that's like really cool and powerful, and it's kind of like got an abominable theme as well, where it's kind of just turned into real life and it's became corporeal and things like that. But Mega Abomasnow, like, there has got to be no one that actually wants a Mega Abomasnow. I don't think anyone would be crying if Mega Abomasnow was suddenly removed from the game for whatever reason. So it's just there. I mean, they've stuck two per ice pillars into per Abomasnow's back, forced it onto all fours, otherwise it can't stand up because of the amount of ice that they've just decided to chuck onto his back. And it has to basically stay on all fours for eternity, otherwise it would just fall over and die of energy loss and trying to keep two pillars stuck onto its back. So yeah, there's Mega Abomasnow in the bottom tier. Really just should not have been a thing. Abomasnow I think was fine by itself. Next up is Absol. I also have to explain that some of the rankings that I go into this are going to be my personal play. Of course I do play Pokemon Showdown, and some of my experience with playing this Pokemon of various tiers will affect my ranking. However, I am judging it just off how I've liked it. Again, if I play with a Pokemon for a little bit longer than some others, I will probably have a tendency to try and rank the Pokemon that I play with a little bit longer over another Pokemon that I felt is similar to it design-wise, but I still will be going off design. I'll be going off just what it's trying to convey, if it conveys cuteness or power really well. And this is why I'm going to put Mega Absol in the middle tier. Now, if Mega Absol was in the fairy tier, it would probably be, let's be real, in A Drive's top 10. I mean, he's used it before. However, it's not fairy type, so that's instantly a 1-point deduction. And I mean, it's kind of cool. I mean, it's obviously building upon the fact that it's cute, but it's also really powerful. I believe it's a really cool concept for Absol. In the beginning anyway, it's based off like some sort of like genocidal warrior or something that's turned into a Pokemon, so that's cool. I don't know, I just like it. It's nimble, it's spry, but I definitely feel like they could have done a bit more with the design. Firstly, made it into a fairy type, and secondly, just kind of built upon the power, because I feel like you kind of just get lost with some things like around the face, like that. That just looks like the third gen's champion, the water one, Milo, is that his name? Something like that. He just looks like that. So next up is going to be Mega Aerodactyl, and Mega Aerodactyl is cool because it builds upon Aerodactyl, but in a way that still makes it look more cooler rather than just add all these random bits onto it. I really like that they've got like the pointed stones onto it to kind of make it seem like it's more in tune with like cave walls where you've got dangling pieces of rock and things like that. My only concern is that they did make it a bit too bulky. It kind of looks a bit too fat. So if they made it a little bit more nimble, it probably would have been in the top tier. But it's a cool Pokemon. I really like the Dark Stones again. I think that adds a lot to its color palette and to its design. It's just a really powerful Pokemon in general. So I like it, and plus I like Aerodactyl just normally. So next up is going to be the Mega Aggron. I'm just going to put it here in the middle tier because I'm really just I like Mega Aggron more than I dislike it, but I'm overall fairly mediocre about it. I mean, you've basically just turned Aggron fully from a rock type into a steel type. That's basically it. You've taken all the rock elements out of Aggron and just turned it into a completely metallic being, which I think is kind of cool. I definitely like the fact that they've literally just made this a massive juggernaut made of iron. I think that's cool. It's kind of like the Iron Giant, if you guys have ever read that book or a series or whatever, but it kind of reminds me of that. So that's cool, and yeah, that's pretty much where it just ends, because I feel like they could have done a bit more with the Mega Aggron. They could have made it have like a giant stone pillar arms or something like that to try and showcase its power a bit more. But next up is Mega Alakazam, and it's one of these two. I'm sorry. This is gonna be tough. I'm gonna put it in here because I feel like Masuda knew what he was doing with this, but he didn't do it very well. So basically, you've taken Alakazam, you've made it float, and you've gave it 3 extra spoons. That's pretty much it. I mean, you gave it a beard, to be fair. That's also true. But I don't really like Mega Alakazam's design that much. I think the reason people actually like it is because of its competitive viability, and just because I've seen it around so much, they've kind of got desensitized to some of its lesser qualities. But I'm an NU player, so I haven't seen Mega Alakazam for a while. So with that being said, Mega Alakazam is going to be sticking here in the D tier. I mean, it's not there of Mega Abomasnow, God bless anything that ends up there with that disgusting thing. As next up is Mega Altaria, which I'm going to put in the middle tier again. So Mega Altaria, basically they've built upon the Cloud theme, I think, quite well, being able to basically adapt its entire body, and not just wings this time, but basically its body into an entire cloud, so that's kind of cool. I also really like this little ribbon after effect. I think that's kind of cool. But I mean, they could have done a bit more. They could have maybe had like a rainbow. They maybe could have made like the inside of the cloud like a glowing pink to try and exclaim the fact that it's a fairy type a little bit more. Since if I were to look at that Pokemon at first glance, I would guess it's something around Ice, Dragon, or Normal, the 2 of those 3 elements, and not really fairy types. So I think they could have shown off fairy type a little bit more. Next up is Mega Ampharos, which again I'm going to put in this middle tier. So Mega Ampharos, it's a really weird Pokemon. It's a complete outlier because it's so ridiculous. I think it's kind of cool. Basically, they just gave it like really weird Fabio hair and like kind of like a weird tail that's for some reason growing like what looks like fruit, but I guess it's like more like ornaments or something, like glowing ornaments or something like that. But I think the most bold thing that the Pokemon Company have done is somehow try and justify that as a dragon type. Like, how do you get dragon typing out of that? I mean, that's kind of why it falls down in a few stages, is because like I feel like they're plucking at straws really with the Mega Ampharos design. They're like, okay, people, they kind of like Ampharos, it's one of those underrated Pokemon, we might as well try and make a Mega out of it. What do we do? Okay, we're going to make it a Dragon type because it learns Dragon Pulse for some reason, and we'll just stick all these random things onto it. But it kind of looks cool. That's the thing. Okay, they've got a really good base in Ampharos. I think that Ampharos has got a really good base design and a good concept, being a lighthouse Pokemon. So they had a good concept to work off. unlike this. This is yeah, Mega Audino. You're going straight in there. No, we'll see if Mega Banette. Sorry, my computer let me down there for a little bit. So Mega Audino, it's going in the bottom tier. This is a complete opposite to Mega Ampharos, where basically they didn't have a really good concept design. They had a chancy knockoff that was a little bit thinner and no one really cared about in Audino. So basically what they did was, we're going to take this really bad concept already and we're going to make it even worse. We're just going to stick random things on. We're going to give it a beard because why not? We're also going to give it weird earrings because everyone loves that. We're also going to give it weird fluff around the ears because that definitely signifies fairy typing. And then we're also just going to make it a little bit fatter. We're going to give it a random dressing gown because that looks cool as well. We're going to give it things that look like slippers. We're just going to call it a day because really that's what the Pokemon community would really like. It's just a random Pokemon looks like it's in pajamas and it has aged about 40 years. Yeah, Mega Audino, it's just a random Pokemon. I don't really know. Like it probably is affecting my decision a little bit in that I don't think it should have existed in the first place, and I think that a lot of people probably would rank this as one of the more forgettable Pokemon just in the overall existence of the Pokemon genre. But yeah, Mega Audino is going to be in the bottom. I don't really like it that much. I just think it's kind of a weird, bulky, odd thing. Mega Beedrill is, no, we'll go here. Okay, so Mega Beedrill, basically what they've done is they've kind of changed the stance a little bit. I kind of like that they made it a bit more angry. They've tried to make some of its features a little bit bigger, such as its stingers a bit. Actually, you know what? We're gonna put it up in here because I do like Mega Beedrill. So basically, what they've done that I kind of like is that they've made it basically a lot more of an angry bee. I think that they've reflected on the Beedrill design. And they've decided, you know what, it wasn't angry enough, so we're just going to give it massive stingers that look like it really should not be in a kid's game. We're going to make it have really creepy, angry eyes. We're going to make it basically a hornet. That's what they're going for with Mega Beedrill, and I think that they actually pulled it off pretty well. I looked at this design and I was like, like I was considering a little bit it being in the fake mon tier, but just after looking at it, I mean, you can't really say that they went too bad with Mega Beedrill. I mean, it's cool, it's a hornet design. I think they pulled it off quite well. Again, I think they could have made it a little bit fiercer, and they could have made it maybe orange instead of yellow to try and make it look a little bit more angry and a little bit more fearsome. But that's about it. Mega Banette, I mean, there's not really much to say. I mean, the Banette design already is just a bit odd. You kind of made it a puppet, and I don't know, it's just odd. It's just one of those Pokemon that I don't think is ever going to be like appreciated because it's just so odd. I mean, you've got so many other like cooler designs for ghost types like Mimikyu that are like possessing like objects, and Rotom, and you've got Chandelure and stuff like that. Like you have all these like object-based ghost types that are possessing like entities, and it's like kind of cool. And then there's just Banette, and Banette was already kind of weird, and then you give it a Mega Evolution, and it's basically just like a sock puppet that's kind of like mutated into something that's even more weird. I mean, I don't really get the wee hand things. I know it just looks like, basically it looks like you've slapped some clothes onto a Banette with like a ton of zippers, and like you're putting basically like random garden gloves through it, which like it just looks a bit weird. Also, I don't really get the middle part, like I guess it's legs here, the red part. Yeah, it doesn't really make sense. It's just a bit of an odd Pokemon. And yeah, I really don't get the direction that they try to go with Mega Banana. I think they try to make it scary. Obviously, they try to make it scary, but it doesn't really make sense when the Pokemon is just such a non-entity that you're basing it around. And I guess I get why they've made Mega Banette a Mega, because they're trying to exemplify that all Pokemon have a place, which is ironic because of Gen 8, but all Pokemon have a place and they can all be used despite their power levels. So even things like weak Pokemon have a really nice twist, like most things, where it's kind of the weakling that ultimately has its comeuppance, and they can actually fight for themselves through a Mega Evolution. Which I think is a really cool concept because it brings life to a lot of forgotten weak Pokemon that have just kind of dissolved through the sands of time, and they've kind of refreshed it with a new Gen 6, sorry, spruce up where they have got a bit more power, they have a different design, and people actually have a reason to use them again. So that's why I think the Mega Evolution is such a genius mechanic, and is why I think it's one of the saving graces of X and Y personally. But next up is Mega Blastoise. I think that Mega Blastoise should have been a fake one, if I'm being honest. I mean, come on, they basically gave Mega Blastoise another cannon and called it a day. I mean, the only thing that's actually saving this design is the fact that Blastoise, I think, by itself is really cool. I mean, you cannot put Mega Blastoise in the bottom tier just because Blastoise by itself just has such a cool identity to it, it being a turtle with cannons. I mean, you can't really go wrong with that. That's just something so innately cool about it. But I mean, they really just did not do much for this Pokemon. I think they made it slightly bigger, they gave it a bigger cannon, and that's about it. So yeah, they didn't really adapt to it. I think that they would have been a lot better giving it like maybe a bazooka on the back, and then maybe like gorilla-like arms where like they're kind of like mortars or stuff, or even turn it into like sort of like a catapult sort of thing. That I think could have been a lot better. And showcase it off. Mega Blaziken is going to go into this A drives tier. None of the Pokemon have made it up to here, which is kind of sad so far. But Mega Blaziken, again, I think it's really cool. Blaziken was a good design choice to go off since it's one of the fan favorites that unfortunately just isn't that great. But yeah, being able to basically amplify the fire aspect, I think this pose is really cool. It kind of makes it almost ninja-esque, which I think is really awesome. It kind of, you know, plays to me as well, because my profile picture for the past 5 years has been a ninja on YouTube. But yeah, it's kind of like a ninja. It's kind of like karate style as well. It shows off the fighting and the fire typing really well, and kind of builds them up in a way that Mega Evolution should. And I think that a lot of other designs should take this Mega Blaziken kind of exchange from its regular form to its mega form into consideration. Especially if they're trying to bring Mega Evolution back for Generation 9 or for the remakes, which I definitely think that they should make Mega Pokemon return, because they were such a good idea. But yeah, the Mega Blaziken should really be a Pokemon that they kind of hold high and try and replicate with some other Pokemon, and kind of how they turned a regular Pokemon into a Mega Pokemon. I think they could have been, like, I don't really like the face mask of Mega Blaziken, that's my only really gripe. I don't really like the white parts of it. And again, I think that they could have made some more fire maybe flow down here. But ultimately, for like a chicken Pokemon that's supposed to be a fire and fighting Pokemon, I think they knocked it out of the park with both Blaziken and Mega Blaziken. Mega Camerupt, I'm not gonna lie, I think Mega Camerupt would make Mega Mogwai return. Like, Mega Camerupt is absolutely insane. Like, Camerupt by itself was a pretty bad design. I mean, basically they just gave it 2 targets, they kind of gave it little humps. I think they went a bit too overboard with the camel aesthetic instead of what they kind of should have went for, which was Mega Camerupt just in general is the volcano aspect. And then they just gave it a massive volcano. They made it look so much more intimidating and stronger and bulkier, and even though it's not really the best competitively, I mean, it's just such a strong powerhouse with really a lot of options that I think went really well. I really like this sort of like darkened coal-like magma obsidian part of its body. I really like the volcano that's on top, this flowing lava kind of down the edges as well. I like that they've gone for a little bit less of a harsher red design to try and blend it into the design a little bit more and kind of build up the volcano as a centerpiece, which I think was a really smart idea. So yeah, Mega Camerupt, I think that it's a great idea and I really like it, and I think it deserves to stay up here. The next Pokemon is Mega Charizard X, which I think also deserves to be at the very top. Fans have asked for Charizard to be a Dragon type forever, and I think the EM3 Freak completely delivered it in this X form. I mean, they turned it into something that I think is so awesome, which is basically the blue part of a flame. For anyone that hasn't really experimented with a Bunsen burner, when you, I believe, reduce air to a fire, it really concentrates the amount of heat and energy going into it, so it turns into a blue flame, which is really hot and really powerful. I think it's kind of cool that they pulled a 180 from Charizard, which identity was a red fire dragon to a blue fire dragon with fire coming out of its mouth and out of its tail. And I really like this kind of darker blue that kind of plays off the lighter blue, which is coming out of the mouth and out of the tail, and also its belly. It's got a really nice black coming along. I really think really knocked it out of the park with the design. I don't think there's actually anything wrong with it. I just think it's a really cool Pokemon that, I think that's really good, and I think that they really thought of an out-of-the-box way to try and present a fire-type dragon Pokemon in Charizard, and I think that they ultimately were rewarded for it. Now, Mega Charizard Y, no. Mega Charizard Y, I get why they did it. They did it so that people would pick up a Y version so that they could see Charizard, but Mega Charizard Y is nowhere near the league of Mega Charizard X. I mean, basically, what they did for Mega Charizard Y was they kind of bent its wings a little bit, they made it a bit longer, they gave it a weird spike on its head, and they called it basically a Mega Evolution, and that was it. So I don't really like Mega Charizard Y for that. I mean, it's kind of an odd Pokemon. It doesn't really build off Charizard that well. I feel like if you're going to go for a fire Pokemon that kind of goes with the drought aspect, I think you could have made it definitely a lot more fiery, give its wings a bit of fire, give its belly a bit of fire, just play off the molten lava aspect, like kind of what you did with the Mega Camerupt. I think that could have saved the design a little bit, but I think that giving Mega Charizard Charizard 2 Megas really was just a bad idea. I think they should have just given the X design, and that would have been it. So the next up is going to be Mega Diancie, which honestly I'm putting at the very top. Mega Diancie, it's awesome. I really like the idea that they turned this really bulky, not very strong, offensive wise, amethyst kind of jewel Diancie, and they turned it into a really speedy, more rock-like princess version of it. I think that it's kind of cool. It shows off its cuteness really well, while also really the gems and just its intimidating power and presence, allowing it to also show off its power as well. And that's a really hard concept to kind of grasp, is the cute and power playing off each other. But I think that Mega Diancie is one of the very few situations where I think it actually worked extremely well as a Pokemon, and I think that kind of going off the dual aspect and making it such a unique Mega was a really good idea and was really smart. Mega Gallade, let's be honest, okay? Mega Gallade, it's a phenomenal Pokemon in standard format. In Draft League, it's borderline busted. It's cool, but you cannot look at that Pokemon and say it should have just been in Yu-Gi-Oh! I mean, this is the literal Yu-Gi-Oh! Pokemon crossover that people might have theorized and trying to draw some previous designs for, and like fanfic and stuff. But I think it should have just stated that. I think it should have actually been a Pokemon. The only reason that they made Gallade have a Mega is because basically they gave Gardevoir a Mega in the previous X and Y, sorry. So in Oras, when they came through, they were like, okay, we'll just give Mega Gallade a Mega Evolution. I think that a lot of these Pokemon that are actually down around here are actually out of Oras. I just think that X and Y did them so well, because I do think that they were trying to force them down our throats, whereas Oras were like, oh, we've got to make sure that people actually buy the game. What are we going to do? Or we're going to make the Gen 3 Pokemon look really, really cool, because that's definitely what people want. So obviously there's some X and Y Pokemon that are going to be ranking low / have ranked low, but Mega Gallade, I don't really like it that much. I think that regular Gallade is actually cooler. It's one of the Pokemon that I think actually got worse with this Mega Evolution. We're going to be talking about another one very, very soon. But yeah, Mega Gallade, I think it's kind of just odd. It also looks a bit like, I think it would be even more like lighter and like nimbler and stuff, so it makes it look like its arms are twigs, its feet look a bit odd. I don't really like it too much. The cape seems like it's a bit too bulky and gets in the way. So yeah, that's it. Mega Garchomp. Again, it should have been a fake mon, because like it kind of looks cool. I mean, the pincer kind of arms are, excuse me as I move my pillow. The pincer arms are kind of cool. I definitely like that it's a bit more of an intimidating presence than its regular version in regards to that, but they just made it so fat and bulky and odd. and I think they kind of tried to go with the intimidation a bit too much. Of course, they put spikes here, they put bigger things here that are more sharper, they put spikes here, they made its jaw bigger, they made it a bigger head, they gave it a fatter tail and stuff like that, which is all fair and good, but they could have probably just done this and maybe a bigger head and like done one or two things to try and differentiate it from Garchomp. But that's about it. I mean, I think they just went a bit too overboard on it, and ultimately it just kind of backfired. Where it's kind of like Mega Audino, where they've added just so much stuff to it that are just so random that it just kind of loses its what it's trying to portray in its Mega Evolution. So that's it from Mega Garchomp. Again, I don't think it's awful, but I really think there's a ton of better Pokemon. Mega Gardevoir now, I'm going to put in here. Mega Gardevoir, I think it's great. I think the only problem is that I think that they made it a bit too bulky down there. I think that they made it a little bit more lighter and a little bit more gentler down at the bottom. I think that it's a really well-rounded Mega. But yeah, it's just great. I kind of like the aesthetic of it being like a princess, like a ballroom sort of thing, where it kind of gains like its garments and things like that. The shiny version of Mega Gardevoir is one of my favorite shinies of all time, and I think that they just allow it to be a really powerful Pokemon that is really shown through its identity of its Mega Evolution. Next up is Mega Gengar, which I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna put it in here. I don't really like Mega Gengar that much. I don't really get why it has all these weird kind of fire-looking hands leaping into the ground and kind of just going into like an abyss or whatever. I don't really like its face. It's very odd. It's trying to be intimidating and like cute in like a way. It's like a really weird like intimidating face that I don't really like. I think that Mega Gengar's smile and regular face is great. The third eye just doesn't really make that much sense, and that like the spikes on Mega Gengar just don't really add up for me. I don't really get why they've suddenly turned it into a random spiky mon. That being said, I really like this kind of differentiation in the color palette, where they've taken a purple and they've kind of made it a pink/red. So I think that kind of makes it a little bit more interesting as a Pokemon in comparison to regular Gengar. But again, it's not great. Glalie, going in the bottom. Glalie, no one was asking for my Glalie. No one wanted it. Everyone forgot about Glalie, and it's just like the thing is, Mega Evolution are supposed to make forgotten Pokemon better, but I guess what I'm trying to say is that they weren't completely forgotten. Some people had them in the back of their mind, like Aerodactyl. People still like the Aerodactyl. It's just that it wasn't as popular as it used to be. Glalie, everyone forgot about Glalie. Everyone forgot about Banette and Audino. Like no one really wanted to associate with them themselves, and now you just are like, oh, here's more Mega Pokemon with these Pokemon that you still don't like. Yeah, Glalie is just a really odd Pokemon. I didn't really like the ski mask idea anyway of its regular version, but it's just kind of, it's opened its mouth. It looks a bit more intimidating, I guess. It's got some black parts which I don't really have much to say about. I mean, they're kind of there. They offer a bit of substance and a little bit of a different color palette, but I mean, it's just kind of odd. This makes it look like a rhino, so that's just a bit odd. I'm sorry about Glalie. I know you wanted to be higher, but yeah, you sit back down there. You're not going anywhere up the list. You're staying in the bottom. Mega Gyarados is going for a middle for me. I don't really have much to say about Mega Gyarados. I think that it's helped a lot by it being used by the main evil leader in X and Y. I think that helps it out, because you battle him so many times with his Gyarados, you're like, okay, what trick's he gonna pull this time? And then suddenly he just evolves his Gyarados, and you're like, what? So I think it looks cool. I think the bulky aspect is cool in some ways, and not as cool in other ways. It obviously makes it look more powerful, but it just kind of floating through the air, being a weird kind of like land shark that's just floating and is really fast, is just a bit odd. Yeah, I also don't really like its gills being like weird red bubbles around the side. I think that's a bit odd, but I mean, it's not an awful design. It's not great. I just think it's kind of there in the middle. I mean, it's about the same as Gyarados, I would say. So next up is Mega Heracross, which I'm just going to put in the middle. Again, I think it's got the same problem as Gyarados, where they've made it bulky, like with the arms and stuff. And around the chest area, where it does look powerful, it does look cool, But again, I think that there's better ways to show off Heracross being more powerful in this Mega Evolution than just giving it bigger arms. Again, I don't really like the horn that much. I mean, this weird ginger thing always really weirds me out. I'm not sure what that is. Is it supposed to be like some sort of patch for its forehead? Is it supposed to be a nose? I don't really get it. I just don't think that it adds anything to the design, to be honest. And these feet just look so odd. I mean, it shouldn't even be standing up with those feet. It just looks so unstable, and that it just doesn't really match up with the design. So I mean, it's alright. Again, it's a cool, powerful Pokemon. I kind of like what they did with the claws. I just think that they could have made them a little bit smaller. But yeah, I think it's an alright Pokemon. Houndoom, in my opinion, is top tier. You're gonna see a trend. I really like fire Pokemon just in general, but Mega Houndoom is just so awesome. I think that they captured the Hellhound aesthetic so well of it. Where Houndoom, it was alright, but it was a bit too frail, it was a bit too nimble, it was a bit too thin, and this time they kind of bulked it out, especially with the spikes. I think the spikes are really nice. I think that it kind of having like the sort of like the devil horns also helps, especially with the kind of fork-like tail. I think that the little spikes around the front of the feet really allow it to have a bit more identity and just a bit more substance to it. And definitely just the spikes around here, and you can even see if you look a bit close that some of these are a bit more grayer than others. This is white, this is a little bit more grey, this is a little bit more white than what this is, so I think that also allows a bit more better of a colour palette, and also it just allows it to diffuse a little bit better through the body of it. It shows there's a bit more of a contrast of power in various different parts of the Houndoom. And something that I really like is that they made it obviously bulky, and they made it show that it's more powerful with its design, but they never lost the idea of it being like still nimble. Like you can still see that it's a fast Pokemon that definitely assumes its base 115 speed identity. Like it still looks like it can be fast and quick and nimble and things like that. Mega Kangaskhan is up next, and I'm going to put it in the middle tier. I kind of like what they did with making the baby Kang part of its design, and also following on from that, its ability. I think that's kind of cool, and I think that works with it really well. I think that it works with the kangaroo aesthetic kind of nice. It's just a bit odd. I don't really like they I think that they could have made Kangaskhan a lot better. They could have made have like face plate around here, and maybe some plates around the arms and stuff like that. And I think the baby design could have been a little bit better. It could have been like a bit more of a fighter. It's kind of like a weird kind of plushy design that they kind of ultimately went for. So yeah, I don't really mind it too much. I think that it's cool that they made it a two-team Pokemon. It kind of reminds me like something like Mortal Kombat X, but yeah, I don't really have much to say about it. It's just kind of there. And next up, now I'm going to forget these Pokemon, Mega Latios and Mega Latias. Which, to be honest, I'm actually going to put both of them here. Actually, no, that's Mega Latios, I think. Mega Latias. Problem is that they look so similar. In fact, I'm just going to put them here, both in the fake mons. I don't really get why they made Latios and Latias Megas, especially Pokemon that are so similar in design. I think that you could have definitely made one of them more greeny blue to try and showcase that it's at least changed its color palette, but it's still kind of the same thing coming from the same roots. This just kind of makes them seem more like twins that you can't really identify very well from. And you could have made Latias more purpley, pinky, red kind of thing to show definitely a power upgrade. Again, they've made it into planes, but I think that there's more of like a better flying typing going on than what they've shown cased with these two Pokemon. Again, I don't really like the fact that they're just so similar that they've kind of just, I guess, played it safe. They just gave it wings and changed its color, and I don't know, it's like, it's so far out from what I would assume they are. Like, if you told me that these are Latios and Latias, I just wouldn't believe you. I would think that these are like maybe like different Pokemon, maybe like pre-evos or something, like Fion to Manaphy or something, or maybe like evolved forms or something. Like, I would not think that it's trying to like actually be the Pokemon itself, just a little bit more customized and upgraded. So yeah, I just don't really get it. I think that it's trailed off a bit too far from what it's ultimately supposed to be. Next up is Mega Lopunny, which I think should be an Age Rise top 10. There's some things that I don't like about it, like these kind of weird ear things that kind of come out. I don't really like that they cover the entirety of the body. They look to be getting in the way, which I think is kind of odd for Mega Evolution, since a Mega Evolution is supposed to be a lot more efficient. Its best advantages are supposed to become even more powerful because of it undertaking Mega Evolution. But with that said, Mega Lopunny, I think that it's great. I think that they really went well with the Kickboxer idea, and I think that ultimately turning it into a fighting type Pokemon was a really good idea. Again, I really like the almost like stalking looking kind of tights kind of looking idea that they're going with the Mega Lopunny, where they've just kind of gave a bit of a different color palette at the bottom of it, which I think this design really needed. If it was kind of just brown and white all the way through, I think it would be a little bit more boring, but they've made it black, which I think definitely is better, because it kind of keens your eyes into ultimately what you're supposed to be looking at, which are the legs, which are kind of the powerful aesthetic to Mega Lopunny, so that's kind of cool. Mega Lucario is going to go into there. I don't really have much to say about Mega Lucario. I think that's better than the Fakemon, since I kind of like the fact that they added the red again. I think black is actually a really cool idea, especially around the eyes, being able to identify it as more of an offensive, powerful Pokemon. But I mean, it's kind of like a thing where we don't really need it. I mean, I kind of appreciate it being around, but I don't know. It's just such an odd Pokemon that they kind of went a bit over the top with its coolness. I think that that's kind of one of the great things about Lucario is that in Generation 4, I mean, is that they just didn't really go over the board or over the top, excuse me, with Lucario. They were kind of like, we're just going to make it a Anubis Pokemon. It's going to be upright. It's going to be a bit of a fox. If people liked it, then hey, that's a bonus. And people really liked it because it was just kind of almost bare bones of what it was supposed to be. It was supposed to be cool, it was supposed to be a little bit charming, it was supposed to be a little bit cute, and ultimately that really wrapped up to be a really nice Pokemon that was just presented really well. Mega Lucario, I think it loses a bit of its identity because they're trying to provide so many things to try and make this Pokemon better than its regular version. Again, I think Mega Lucario is one of the first ever leaked Mega Pokemon, so I think they're really trying to show off, this is Mega Evolution, it's so powerful, it makes these Pokemon explode with power, and like, you don't really need to do that all the time, just a couple features make it a lot better and a lot and kind of showcase the fact that it's Mega evolved, as long as you can kind of get them right and develop the correct parts of the body and correct part of the correct aspects of it. So that's pretty much it. Mega Manectric. Again, Mega Manectric is going to make Jolt cry. I think they could have done so much more with this design. I think it's ridiculous. Manectric by itself is just a bit of a plain Pokemon. There's not really much to it. I don't really like his design that much. I like that they gave it a Thunderbolt, especially because regular Manectric is kind of missing like a back part to it, really. It's just kind of thin. It's got like a thin neck, it's got like a really thin back. I think they could really add something to plump to the back of the back, just of the regular version. But of this version, I kind of like that they added a big Thunderbolt, especially with its horns, but I think that they could have done a good bit more. In fact, they could have actually made it so that it's like a dark thunderstorm cloud maybe around like this part of it. They could have made some black to like kind of try and go for that Luxray vibe, but still make blue the primary color components of the body, so that you know that you're not losing your Mega Manectric's identity by trying to make it basically a Mega Luxray clone, because if you're going to try and make it like a Luxray clone, then might as well make it Mega Luxray. So yeah, I think that it's kind of good. I like the lightning bolt, but that's really all they've done with trying to upgrade Mega Manectric. Mega Mawile is up next, and I think that Mega Mawile should go up here. I think that they upgraded its design really well. I know that Mawile, again, I'm not 100% confident in kind of like my lure for Mawile, but I know it's kind of based off like a monster that can kind of like scream at people when they look at it. I think it's like a Medusa almost kind of Pokemon, and I think that that's that making its heads there bigger is really good. I think that that's kind of one of the falling points of regular Mawile, is it's just hiding behind this massive head. and it doesn't even look to be that cool. It's just kind of like a limp, kind of steel odd thing with weird teeth. Whereas this one, you can actually see that these kind of head things here have got some personality. It's almost like Hydreigon, where instead of the main head having the main power and the other two still providing power and still giving it that scary look, and still being obviously part of its design and fully what's the word I'm looking for? Like, it's just basically got the two of them have got autonomy and energy. It's kind of the same with this, except these are the two things you're supposed to be looking at and scared of, and the face is still very much part of it. I think even Mega Morwell in its stance is grinning at some points, so it's kind of like you know that it knows its power level, so you can really appreciate that and kind of definitely use that as a way to go through with more Mega Evolutions, since again I think it's another Pokemon like Mega Blaziken, where I think a lot of people when they're designing Mega Evolutions, again a Pokemon company can look back on this Pokemon and think that it was a really good idea and that they should do it with more Pokemon, since I think that ultimately trying to build it up, because regular Morwell, it was just a very small crappy little Pokemon that kind of was just there. It was a little bit odd, but I think that now that they've given this, especially with its huge power ability, I think that kind of shows its power a bit more. Mega Medicham is going to go, I think it should have been a fake mon, I'm not gonna lie. I like that it's kind of holding up its weird, I kind of like the idea that it's got like telepathy holding up these things, but I don't know what they are. They're supposed to be like silky scarf-like fists or something. I'm not sure. I kind of don't like the face either. I kind of like its pose though. I think its pose really showing off the yoga aspect is kind of cool as well. So I think that's a really good upgrade. But I think apart from that, I think that regular Medicham really didn't need that Mega that much. The only thing that it really needed it for is for competitive viability. But even then, if you're kind of making a Pokemon just for competitive viability, then I think that you're already losing the idea of a Pokemon instead of what's supposed to portray how it's supposed to be better than its regular version through Mega Evolution. So that's pretty much it, and I gotta go, so I'll be back in 1 second. Sorry guys, I'm back. I just drank an entire liter of water that was half full, so I guess 500 milliliters of water, but yeah, I was very thirsty. Recording for about an hour now has not been fun. So next up is going to be the Mega Metagross. Now this is going to be an interesting choice. It's gotta have been a fake mon. I mean, it's just so odd. I mean, it's different to basically what Metagross is like known for. It's like kind of like on all fours, quadrupedal, kind of like a cool Pokemon like that. And I think by turning it into kind of a weird, I don't even know. It looks like it could be even like one of those like things in Yu-Gi-Oh where it's one of those wee motorbike things where you have your arms here and you're sitting here and stuff. I don't know, but yeah, it's just so odd. I don't really like how they turn it into that gold thing. I mean, it's kind of cool, especially with like the clear defining X through it. I think that that's kind of a cool design choice as well. But yeah, I don't think that it's ultimately that great of a power up over Metagross. I think that they could have just kept it as regular Metagross and it would have been alright. And then we're also gonna, we're gonna put this down here. My goodness, we're gonna put that thing there. We're gonna put this one here. Okay, so firstly, the X1, the X1 let the team down. Look at that. That was up there, and now we're all the way down here. What happened? So basically, Mega Mewtwo X just is not a good Pokemon. I know a lot of people are going to be saying, oh well, actually Mewtwo in the Pokédex says that it's got biological origins created through these different little atoms that basically through Mega Evolution it can define its biological muscle mass by 50%. I don't really care. Basically, Mega Mewtwo X just it's just like it's such an odd thing. Like if you look at its stance when it's in like a DS game or whatever, it's just such an odd stance. It's kind of just on all twos, like yeah, on twos with like weird fists. It's just I don't get why there's this massive bulge here. It's got a weird tail that just doesn't really add up to the design as well. It's got this odd collar that makes it look like it's trying to be Gatsis or something. I don't like it. This one at least it kind of try to go with something here, and it just didn't give it two fists and like a longer feet. But yeah, I kind of like the idea that it's floating in midair, but it looks like it's wearing earphones, which isn't not great. So yeah, that's kind of odd. It's also like kind of just floating through the air. I don't get what these are. These look like duck feet. Its face is like a weird triangle. I didn't really like they went with that. And then these hands kind of look like wee fetus arms. I can kind of appreciate the fetus design overall of Mega Mewtwo Y, but yeah, and the the telepathic energy and telekinesis and stuff with it. But yeah, that's about it. Mega Pidgeot is going to. I'm going to actually put it up here. I think the Mega Pidgeot's is actually a really good design. I kind of like it. Kind of reminds me of Ho-Oh. It kind of looks like a Johto kind of look with like the red going through here and like the blue kind of going down the sides. I like that. It almost looks like a bit of a hand, which I don't think is really that big of a benefit to it. But yeah, I like this hairstyle. I think that definitely adding several colors and close proximity helps a lot. So basically the red and the yellow helps make this red on its own stand out when it comes out from this design. The blue on the tips really make it so that this white doesn't get too boring to the eyes. I like the shades of brown that go through it and line the edges as well. So I think that that's really awesome. Its tail is also really a nice blue red design as well. I think that that's a big win for Mega Pidgeot. The only reason I don't have it in the S tier is because Pidgeot I just don't think is that great of a design in general, so I feel like they were already kind of fighting a losing battle by using the just Pidgeot design. I mean, they could have actually went with Fearow for the design. I think it would have been a lot better, since I think that Fearow has got a personally just better design than a Pidgeot, but that's my personal preference. Mega Pinsir should have been a fake model, let's be honest. I mean, what is that? They've turned it into a weird killing machine that can fly suddenly, that has weird antler heads. It looks like the extraction determination machine from Undertale, so that's kind of weird. Its feet look like magnets. It's got weird stick-like arms that I don't think give it really much help anyway. That is a disservice to Pinsir. The only reason it's up there is because firstly, Pinsir's a cool Pokemon, and I kind of like what they did with the side mouth, where they've got like clamping teeth around the sides. I think that that's really nice. Pretty much, I think this is the only Pokemon that actually has got clamping teeth from either from left to right rather than up and down. I also kind of like what they did with the wings, where they turned it into like weird like hornet wings. I think that that's kind of cool, but apart from that, just a very, very, very odd Pokemon. Mega Rayquaza, honestly, I forgot this Pokemon existed. Mega Rayquaza would probably make Jolt cry. I mean, this is another. This is like another example of just a Pokemon that they just gave it so much that it's just kind of odd. In fact, I'm actually going to put it down here. So basically, they've given like these weird electrical wires and stuff. They've completely, this isn't even Rayquaza anymore. They've turned into this weird bulky serpent thing that has, I believe, even a different color palette than Rayquaza. Like, if you didn't tell me that this was Mega Rayquaza, I would not have known. I thought that would have been like maybe a new legendary in like a game or something. But yeah, this is just so completely different than Rayquaza that I think they really like lost what it's supposed to be. I mean, it's a kind of cool design. I mean, there's some things that I do like about it. Like, I think the face is really cool. Kind of like it looks a little bit like a Scyther face. I like that it's got like these weird pincer things here as well. The smoothness of the body design, but apart from that, I mean, it's just not Rayquaza. It's got weird things dangling out of it. No, regular Sableye. Honestly, I think regular Sableye, or Mega Sableye, excuse me, it goes up here. It is such a contrast from regular Sableye. I think that this duel actually adds a lot. And you might say, oh well, it's literally just the regular Sableye design, but I think that that's actually what they kind of needed. So the regular Sableye is, I think that it's even maybe got like longer ears and kind of like different jeweled eyes, but I really like that they've changed the stance, that it's literally just summoned a gem. It looks slightly different, and it's using the gem as like an actual prop, like it's actually standing behind it. All these Mega Pokemon, like even Mega Alakazam's not actually holding on to anything. There's very few Mega Pokemon that actually do stuff with their props, and here you can see that it's definitely the jewel that is receiving the utmost amount of attention, and it ultimately plays off into its design really well, where the jewel's got like mythical properties, basically, where it allows it to bounce back hazards. I think that also plays into its design quite well. Mega Salamence should go here. I don't get it. It's like a B-Tech transformer. It's like, oh, Salamence, transform into, I guess, a jet plane. It looks like one of those weird things from a Cuphead, where it's like the I don't even know, but it's like the boss where she turns into a half moon. It's kind of odd. It looks, the wings are kind of weird. It looks like a magnet. I just hate the fact that its arms fold into itself, because screw biology, am I right? And then it just randomly gets these bigger wings. I mean, the wings are kind of cool. I still prefer regular Salamence's wings. I just think they look so odd and so goofy. I mean, it's like, if you take out the wings of this, basically it's a head, it's a body with no arms, and it's got like 2 long feet. That's about it. It looks like a T-Rex. And even a T-Rex would be happy because it's got longer arms than this thing, because its arms are non-existent. So that's about it. Mega Sceptile is going to be going up here, actually. Mega Sceptile, I think, is a phenomenal Pokemon. I really like they also changed the stance so that it's not facing forward, because I think that's kind of the thing that made regular Sceptile in previous generations really cool, is when it was facing back to you and kind of had its tail. And I think this really allows it to copy that ability really well, as its Gen 6 and on sprites are kind of just it facing forward, which I think doesn't really show anything. It's just kind of a grassy with a stone statue that you can't really comment on that much, but yeah, it's just got a bigger tail, which I think is awesome. I really like the bushy effect as well. It kind of makes it look like a dart almost. I think that's nice. I really like these kind of like orbs around its back, which is kind of like almost fruit, which I think plays into its design a lot better than Ampharos. I think you can get away with stuff like that. I like the red tips on the side of it. I think that, again, that provides really nice contrast. Again, you can see that there's difference between the dark green here and the regular green, which I think refreshes the eyes a little bit. And I think that also the face changes a little bit, so it's a little bit more intimidating. And again, it's got a bit of a smirk because of this tail. The nose of this tail is like extremely powerful, and I think that's really nice. Again, we also see the red in the tail, so it's kind of like diffusing up through it, where it's like red, green, red, green, red, green, red. So it kind of works out a bit better. You guys probably don't follow half the stuff that I'm saying, but it makes sense in my head. Basically, it's just a nice break between the colors for the eyes. Mega Scizor. I'm trying to think back to regular Scizor. I think it can go up here. I think that Mega Scizor is actually a really cool design. I think that they did really well with the clampers of the arms. I think that turning it from like almost these weird magnet things to actually like proper like things that can actually clamp you and do a lot of damage, I think is really nice. I also really like, again, the color contrast where the white's at the bottom, you got the red, so that just isn't like regular Scizor, where it's just got 2 reds here and here, and it kind of looks a little bit boring. Also, the black is really nice to design. Again, regular Scizor doesn't have it. The problem with regular Scizor is, again, it's a cool design, but I do think it's a top tier design because it's just red. That's it. Some people have even like renamed their Scizors red just because it's just a red thing. That's about it. Like a red bug. So yeah, I really like it's like almost like black steel plating, which is nice. I really like these kind of bolts in the side of it. Again, it feels like it's kind of good and bad. I kind of like that it fits the metallic theme a bit better, but it also looks like this Pokemon is like a bit like rusty, a bit like you see like here, like you can kind of imagine like that being a little bit like stuck together and kind of like clogged potentially by rust and stuff like that. Plus also its wings, I think, don't really move as much as I would like in the regular sprite, so it kind of just makes it feel a little bit more like it's rusty, which it kind of like triggers my OCD, I guess. So next up, Mega Sharpedo is 100% going in there, not even a question. I love it. It looks like a shipwreck. which I think is actually really cool. Like, this is the front part. It almost looks like the Titanic. This is the front part. This is like the middle part. This is like the main steel part of it. You can kind of think about like another part of the ship being broken off there. But I kind of like it. It's got the ship aesthetic, plus also it's still built into a shark, and looks like a torpedo. I think that that's really cool. I like the eye design as well. I think that it's nice. I like that the mouth is open, but it doesn't have like this massive row of teeth like Mega Garchomp or something like that, where it's like, look at how scary I am. Like, no, just let the design do the talking. And they definitely have. Again, this I think this is very underrated. This kind of strategy for making a Mega is kind of like making this a little bit more rugged, so it looks like it's a little bit more reckless, a little bit more powerful, and you can kind of imagine like that fin racing after you in the water, which I think is kind of cool. So yeah, it's just an S tier Pokemon, absolutely. Now we've gone for an S tier Pokemon to that. I mean, Slowbro's ideology is weird anyway. I mean, it's literally a Slowpoke that's standing on 2 feet and it's gotten bitten by a Shelder. That's it. That's what Game Freak has decided to call Slowpoke evolving into Slowbro. And I mean, that's fine to a certain extent. You can kind of be like, that's such a bad idea. I kind of like it. It's like one of those like films that are so bad you end up liking it for no reason. But Slowbro, yeah, Mega Slowbro. I mean, what is it like? Shelder got a Mega Evolution and stuff, and just decided to eat Slowbro. I mean, where are its feet, and how is that humanly possible for it to balance on the tail? A tail that small to support that Pokemon with a big bulky Shelder around it, trapping its body. It doesn't even look comfortable. It looks like it's trapped inside like an Iron Maiden or something like that. It just looks so odd. Its hands look weird. I mean, this is kind of disturbing, honestly, if I'm being honest. It looks almost like a torture device. Mega Steelix is going to, quite honestly, go in the top tier. I really like Mega Steelix. I think that it's like almost iron ore, like rock parts are really nice, because it's basically its body is like magnetism, so it can hold these things swirling around its head up really nicely. It also has these really cool steel beams that go through it, which I think is awesome. And I think that they ultimately managed to get the rock aesthetic really nice, with like the ruggedness, making it a little bit more rugged than just regular Steelix and Onyx, and being like able to like tear it up a little bit. I also like these really like nice ion things, where like, again, it's like these things, but again, I think the rust kind of goes well with it, because you're obviously expecting it to be a bit more rusty, because there's like stone and steel and stuff like that. You expect it to be hiding out in the cave for so long. So yeah, Mega Swampert is should have been a fake mod. Nothing much to say. It just looks like a bit of a rugby player. Really bulky, really fat, not really that great. Kind of ugly, if I'm gonna be honest. I mean, regular Swampert's alright, but I think that they really just did not do that great. I mean, this is actually one of the very few Pokemon that I think they should have actually made fatter, and just kind of like made it like a kind of like a giant blob or something like that. I think that by turning it into like a giant, like almost like sumo fighter weird thing, I think that's kind of odd. And yeah, I just don't really like it that much. I mean, this is cool. At least these fins I think are really nice and add a lot. And I think that the color between the orange and the black, orange black, is always a nice color palette, as well as the blue in the background. Really adds some nice design. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Mega Tyranitar now is going to make Jolt cry. I mean, I don't think it's that bad. It's just like it kind of was like a regular Tyranitar that got trapped by like radioactivity. It kind of got like these weird beams that I kind of like. I mean, I don't really like that face that much. I think that they could have upgraded it a little bit. I think that they just played that a bit too safe. As well as this, I don't know what this is. I don't even know what that is. That looks like a weird tree branch slash trunk or something. I don't really like the black bits of it too much. I think this is one of the very few Pokemon that actually would have helped by having a very realistic non-exotic color pattern, where you just keep it very rustic and stuff like that. And then finally, Mega Venusaur is going to go in here. I just don't personally feel like they've added that much to the Venusaur design. They give it a few more leaves, they give it that, and that's pretty much it. I mean, they kind of made it a few more dots, but yeah, I'm not really that big of a Venusaur fan. Well, I'm a big Venusaur fan, I'm not big of a fan of Mega Venusaur, so that's pretty much it. Thank you guys for watching this video. Let me know down in the comments if there's one Pokemon that you thought that I ranked incorrectly, let me know down in the comments what you would have changed around, from what tier to what tier did I put it to the other tier. Thank you guys for watching this video. It's been it's been a pretty long video, but if you did enjoy, make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.